Hi, my name is Craig and welcome to another edition of New Jersey Video Geek. Now, have you ever had a project shot with multiple cameras and you had to take this back into the editing room and sync all these cameras manually? And then you had to cut it on the timeline again manually. That could be a nightmare. So today we're going to teach you how to synchronize all the cameras using a program called PluralEyes by Red Giant. And then we're going to cut all those clips on the timeline using the Multicam feature built into Edius 8.5. So buckle up and let's get editing. Okay, so let's get started on multicam editing. Okay, now we're going to use a couple different programs to start our project to kind of organize the clips and how we want it. Built into Edius is a program which is called Mink. It's a module of Edius, and it's kind of an asset manager. So I'm going to breeze through this program to kind of find our clips first. I'm just going to show you a quick screenshot to show you what this looks like, but I'm not going to go through the process of finding our clips. Okay, so this is Mink. This is our browsing software, our asset manager, and this kind of lets you find the clips that you want. I'm looking at the window here, and as you can see in the folders here, you can see that we have two shooters, Raleigh and Ricardo. We have cameras 1, 2, and 3, plus their audio clip, probably from a Zoom recorder or Tascam. And Ricardo has his two cameras, and he has audio clips also. So let's get back and find our clips. So I found my clips, and now we're going to use the regular Windows Explorer to drag our clips into PluralEyes. Okay, so let's go to our Windows, and we're going to drag the clips that we need into PluralEyes. This is PluralEyes. I dragged it in here, and it created a timeline with all four clips. Okay, now we're going to do this one at a time for each camera. Okay, so let's go back in and look for camera 2, okay? And I'm dragging in here, and you can see that it created another timeline in PluralEyes for camera 2. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for Ricardo's camera. 81 in for Ricardo, and then we're going to bring Ricardo's other camera, and we're going to bring the rest of his clips in. Right, so 3 clips in for Ricardo. So now we have all 4 cameras that are being used for this sequence that we're going to create in Edius. Okay, now what we also want to do, and what PluralEyes is going to actually use to sync everything, is the audio track. So we want to take the audio from the Tascam and drop it also into PluralEyes. Okay, so we're going to actually bring in Ricardo's audio and Raleigh's audio because they both have 2 separate audios. Okay, so let's bring in the audio clips. We have one audio track here, which sounds like the podium audio. And then the groom was also wearing a lavalier recorder, so we're going to drag that also into PluralEyes. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing with Raleigh's audio. And he has one audio clip, and we're going to drag that in also. Okay, now you'll see this yellow line up here. Okay, and what this yellow line is doing here, you can see them drawing. It's drawing out the render files, the waveform render files for PluralEyes. PluralEyes needs to complete this for all the clips before it can do the synchronization. So we're going to wait while that happens, and then we'll continue. As a side note, I also like to mention that PluralEyes needs all the clips to be the same frame rate for it to sync with Edius. This is not necessarily true with Premiere, but it does need it to be all the same frame rate for Edius. So if you take notice that in PluralEyes, that all my clips have a frame rate of 5994 frame rate. So they're all 60p frame rates. Okay, so now we're going to save this project because we don't want to lose all of our work that we've done so far. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click on Synchronize and watch PluralEyes do its magic. Okay, so PluralEyes is almost done, It's applying an audio drift correction, which is at the bottom of the screen. You'll see it right over here. Audio drift correction. All right. And we're just waiting for that to finish up. Okay, so now PluralEyes is done doing the audio drift, and all the clips are synced. You'll notice there are a couple of red clips up here on the timeline. Some red ones. There are a few coming from Rawley's camera number 2. Actually, there are 10 clips. And what that typically means is that the clip was too short. So the clips generally need to be longer to do an accurate sync. Okay, and Rawley likes to turn his camera on and off in very short clips, which is why I want to kill him. Okay, so we won't kill Rawley today. So now what we're going to do is we're going to save the XML file so we can import that into Edius for export. So we're going to go back to our PluralEyes, and there's an orange button up here. It says Export Timeline, just in case you would like to see that. Okay, you're going to click on Export Timeline, and mine is already set to Edius. Okay, I like to rename the project and save it to another location. Right now, the default is always to a PluralEyes folder in the C drive. I like to change that. Okay, so now you see that I changed the folder of where it's going to save to. Okay, so now it's going to save it on the E drive with the customer stuff. So it's in the same folder. I like to keep everything together. You have an option here to move unsynchronized clips to the end. I'm not going to do that. Even though they're not going to be synced, I'll know they're not synced, but I like to see about where they belong. It may not be accurate, but it'll be kind of close and I know where they belong. So let me uncheck that. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to export the project. So let's go export our XML file. It's done. Okay, so now PluralEyes has synchronized all 4 of the cameras plus the audio clips, and we have exported an XML file for use in Edius. We're going to be able to import that XML into Edius 8. Okay, so now we are back in Edius, and we're going to import the XML that we created in PluralEyes, and we're going to import that into Edius, and that's going to give us a new sequence in Edius. Okay, we're going to go to File, okay, and I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see, but we're going to go to File, and we're going to import project, and we're going to import as a Final Cut Pro XML. Okay, so let's import that. Okay, and we're going to choose, this is not the right folder, this is the wrong customer, Andre and Andy, and here's where I saved it right over here, Ceremony Sync XML. Okay, and then we're going to hit open. You're going to see Edius is importing that XML file, and it's going to create a sequence. Okay, it is done. So now we have to look into our bin window, and in our bin window is where we're going to see the folder that it created. Okay, see Ceremony Sync, which was the name of our PluralEyes project. So now I've created a folder in Edius bin window called Ceremony Sync. So if we click on that and I zoom back out, you're going to see this sequence clip. Okay, and how can you tell it's a sequence clip? Okay, sequence clip has 3 little lines in the corner, which to signal that that's a sequence. If it were a video clip, there'd be a frame, like a movie frame. And if it were an audio clip, there would be a little picture of a speaker. So this is a sequence clip. Okay, now we can take that and just double click on it. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to create a sequence on the Edius timeline. Okay, so if you take a close look over here, it says Sync Sequence, which was the name of our sequence in the bin window. Okay, we can double click on that and just rename this real quick. Ceremony Sync, we're going to call it. Okay, and that's it. Okay, let me zoom back out, and this is what our sync sequence looks like. Okay, it doesn't look like much close up, but when I do a fit all mode, here's all of our tracks, and they are in sync. Our next step is to actually go into the Multicam feature of Edius. Okay, now that's pretty easy to do because all you're going to do is hit the F8 key. but I'm going to show you on the pull down menu on how to get to the multicam feature of Edius. Okay, the multicam feature of Edius, it can be found right over here on mode. Okay, and let me zoom in on that so you can see what we're looking at here. Mode, and we're going to go multicam. Now in Edius, you're going to notice that next to certain features here, you're going to see the keyboard shortcut right next to it. So you can either use the menu, the pull down menus, or you can just hit the F8 key to get into multicam mode. Right underneath it, you're going to see how many cameras that you would like to use in that mode. Right now it's set to 3+ cameras, which we know is not enough. We know we have 4 cameras. So we're going to change this to 4. And we're going to F8. You're going to see that we have all 4 cameras being displayed at the same time. Now, in Edius, all you have to do is either click on the windows to change the camera. So your master is on the right-hand side. Okay, so you're going to notice that we're on the reader. And I'm going to change this to a view that I can actually look at. Okay, so right about here is where the reading is going to begin. So you'll notice that we have 4 cameras, 4 different camera angles. So let's go start off with this camera angle right here. Okay, we just got to double click on this one, and we're going to start off with this camera angle. Now in Edius, all you have to do to change camera angles is either double click on the camera angle that you want to switch to, or you can use the numeric keypad, you know, camera 1, 2, 3, or 4, just hit the number on the keypad and it'll work. Let's go start. Now all you have to do is play the clip.
First letter of Paul to the Corinthians. Be ambitious for the higher gifts, and I am going to show you a way that is better than any of them. If I had all the eloquence of men or of angels, but speak without love, I am simply gone booming or a simple clash. If I have the gift of prophecy, understanding all the mysteries there are, and know everything, and if I have faith in all its fullness to move mountains.
Now you'll notice that that as I click on the source on the left side, you'll see a blue frame around the picture here. But there is a blue line going around this frame right over here, indicating that that's the live program output. So after we stop the multicam, you notice that the clips become enabled and disabled. So if I zoom in, you notice that these clips here are disabled, and this is the live clip. And then when we switch to source camera number 2, this clip is now live, and the other ones are disabled, and so on and so forth. Camera 3 back to camera 1. So this is the way Edius does multicam. Okay, so as you're playing the timeline and switching from camera to camera, it's making marks on the timeline, and it's gonna disable and enable tracks, just the video tracks, so that it'll reflect the edit that you want. So multicam is really that simple. PluralEyes does all the work. PluralEyes is going to synchronize all the clips to all the audio. And then we're going to import the XML file into Edius. And then once we're into Edius, it's as simple as going into multicam mode. Just double checking to see how many cameras you actually have. So, you know, we have 4, so we set it to 4 cameras. Hit the play bar, and then pick your sources as it's playing, just like if you were doing a live switch. Okay, and then when you're done, Edius has done all the work for you. Now you can export that little section, which is what I normally do, and you can bring that onto another timeline. Okay, I'll show you how to do that right now. Okay, so let's say this is our reading that we just did. Okay, I'm going to mark an out point. I'm going to mark the in point right here. Okay, and you'll notice that the timeline is highlighted here. So while I'm in multicam mode, all I got to do is go up to mode and compress to a single track. Okay, let me see if I can show you that. Yes, just let me show you. So we're going to compress this to a single track. Okay, and our option here is going to be, you can pick any track that's there. Okay, or we're going to do it to a new track. Okay, so we're going to apply that to a new track. Hit OK. Okay, and what it did was it created a new track right up here above above our edit down here, it created another check and put all the clips in order. And what you could do is you could export this along with the audio to another sequence, and then kind of pick and choose the scenes you want to take from this multicam sequence. Again, that's it for multicam editing. Very useful tool, especially if you have multiple cameras and you need to edit them on the timeline. It's very easy to do. Once your sequence is created, your synced cameras, it's as simple again as just hitting 1, 2, 3, or 4 on your numeric keypad. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. If you like it, click like or subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any ideas for another tutorial, or you'd like to know how to do something, me particularly in Edius, we're going to have another tutorial on multicam editing, but we're going to do that in Premiere. And then we might do another multicam editing in Edius, where the synchronization is all done within Edius 9.0. All right? So until next time, stay tuned and happy editing.